David, they're out of the boot, heading toward the final couple of turns. 6 hours of racing ready to get going here at Watkins Glen.
And one of the best courses in the country to do it on as we go through up to that final right-hander. A very important corner this. It's a lot wider than it used to be, and it's all a lot smoother as we take that final corner. Best to get, you really got to use the most of the road here. Get out front and stay there. On board now with our Yokohama shot.
Green flag is out, riding with Didier Tays on the outside of the front row. Tays alongside the 20 car of Andy Wallace down into turn one. Wallace will grab the lead as they hit the first corner.
The extra grunt on that big Ford engine, just a little bit better than the Judd, but fuel consumption could play a big part in this race, and Judd is strong on that as they swoop through the S's for the first time. A smoking car there, very near the front of the grid. One of the SRP2 cars, I believe. One
of the Archangel machines, the 21 of Andy Lally, the 89 car of Bruno St. Jacques battling. These were the two teams fighting for dominance in Prototype 2, remember. And they're fighting for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th overall right now behind your two race leaders. Andy Wallace, the Dyson team, entering both their cars for the 6 hours at Watkins Glen. And Wallace, to many, a surprise to put that 20 car on the pole. Well,
of course, it was a bit of a funny old qualifying yesterday afternoon, but Didier Tays hanging right behind the car of Andy Wallace, our pole sitter, as they go down into the boot for the first time.
And your eyes don't deceive you. That 27 car is the Ferrari 333 SP chassis. Kevin Doran and his team announcing several days ago they were going to take the Crawford chassis that they debuted, the brand new Crawford, and give it back to Max Crawford for a while and let him work on developing the car. The car's just not fast enough in Kevin Doran's mind.
Aerodynamically, they thought it was a little bit on the weak side, so they've gone back to the drawing board, but it looked like a stout car to me, very well made, and I think we'll be seeing that car back again as Andy Wallace continues to lead in the Dyson car. Coming back onto the old circuit here. This is the end of the new section. New, I suppose, built in about 1970.
The plan is to return to using the Crawford for the Dyson team after 3 races here at Watkins Glen, next week at Lime Rock, and then coming up in a couple of weeks, June 8th at Mid-Ohio. There's Andy Lally in the 21 car, one of the Archangel Prototype 2 machines. David Murray now in the 81 machine as they continue to lead in GT. Their main competition all season long, the Jet Motorsports BMW M3 with the V8 power plant. The car Terry Borchler and Tony Jennings are sharing. Well, they had problems early on. They had a leak and they had to come onto pit road. They led early after starting in the second row in that 54 car, but they've given up the lead in GT to the 81 car down the backstretch. And David Murray, a guy with a lot of laps here at Watkins Glen and a tremendous resume in GT competition, primarily in Porsches over the years.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. We got 4 hours to go here. Don't keep saying what I was just going to say, which was exactly what you just said.
We've worked together long enough. I thought you'd have given me a signal now about what you wanted me to say.
The 88 car, the SRP2 car, just went around there. That's the Porsche House Racing Nissan, which was qualified in 7th spot, making some ground. Here's the 62, the Kudzu car with Ryan Hampton. I'm not sure quite who's at the wheel at the moment, but Ryan Hampton, one of the drivers in that.
It is Hampton at the wheel of the 62, and you got a great look there from David Murray's onboard camera as Hampton drew right up on the back deck lid and the back bumper of the 81, and then was able to blitz by him going into a corner.
And some of the shorter tracks, you know, the GT cars like the 81 car can give those SRP2 cars a bit of a run for their money, but here on the long straights of Watkins Glen, they really just don't have the aerodynamics and the speed that those SRP2 cars have.
Car. Weaver at the throttle here in the first stint. Butch Leitzinger will jump in the car later. Gave up the lead by coming on pit road. There's John Field. He is shown as the leader right now. We're taking a look at the scoreboard here down into turn 1, and it still shows the 16 out in front with the 37 second. And it's possible that they were far enough ahead of the 27 of Didier Tays that they did not give up the lead by coming in for tires. About a 25-28 second pit stop here if you've got a substantial enough lead. Racing at about a 2-minute, well, not quite a 2-minute lap probably here at Watkins Glen on the long course. So you can give up 25 seconds or so if you have a substantial advantage, not lose the lead on pit road.
Yeah, they qualified at around about the 142, 143 mark, but they're probably running slower than that in the race.
The track record
somehow, in fact, here comes Didier Tays.
Tays on pit road right beneath our broadcast location, as a matter of fact, right atop the media center here at Watkins Glen, and they're holding new tires on the Lista Doran Ferrari Judd machine.
Be interesting to see how, now he's on Yokohamas, the other two leaders were on both on Goodyear. Interesting to see how the Yokohamas are holding up. They're cleaning the radiator grill out there. As this race progresses in particular, there's going to be a tremendous amount of rolled up rubber gets on this track, which is going to go into those air intakes and overheat some of this car.
They're doing something in the cockpit too as well. One of the mechanics leaning down and Didier telling the crew go around to the back of the car. I'm sure they're communicating by radio. The crewman reaching down inside there with him. Guy Hobbs, what's the matter with the 27 car?
Well, they've just changed steering wheels. So obviously some kind of electrical problem. And they look like they're going to add to the last second a wicker bill at the back there. They slid on a little wicker bill at the back end, but they changed steering wheels. So obviously some kind of electrical problem, maybe radio contact or whatever, but they have made that pit stop. And the tyres that came off that car don't look any badly, don't look anywhere near as worn as the 150 coming off the other SR cars.
So maybe Didier starting the show and running very, very well. He's less than a second now behind Leitzinger.
Hanging on very, very well on Butch Leitzinger, in fact.
Didier led several laps in the early going. As we watch the 16 car, remember this car started back in the 11th row. If you weren't with us at the top of the broadcast, Thursday and Friday here at Watkins Glen, wet for much of the 2 days. Qualifying on Friday, just a total jumble. They only had half an hour on the track. It was all wet during that time. And so we had some very unusual combinations of cars, some of the fast prototype machines having to start way in the back because they couldn't get a clean lap in the wet conditions.
Well, the Darren Law car, actually, they timed him. They kept throwing the black flag to bring the cars in because the rain was so heavy. And Darren Law's lap, actually, they timed him as he went down pit lane. So that gives you an idea of how confusing it was yesterday afternoon because of the rain. They pulled him in, and as he crossed the start line stripe yesterday afternoon, they timed him coming down pit lane, and that's why he was way down the middle of the pack.
Back to pit road. Now this is key because there's a 5-car battle for dominance in prototype 2 here this weekend. The 89 and the team car from Porsche House, the 88. And there's been a huge wreck on course. The 6 of Ross Bentley, one of the prototype machines, Ross getting out of the car, and one of the GT machines, the 15 automobile, in some serious trouble. The 15 car, Kim Hiskey, is driving that car right now. Now that car with Randy Pobst and Kim Hiskey went to victory lane at Phoenix a few weeks ago. Jeff Altenberg from Baltimore driving with Kim Hiskey this weekend. Randy Pobst otherwise occupied. Hiskey in the car. She has tangled heavily with Brent Sherman driving the Miracle Motorsports machine. Ross Bentley started the 6 car.
Boy, I haven't seen a car that messed up for a long time.
Brent Sherman from North Barrington, Illinois, the driver. That's Sherman right there in the white uniform. He is out of the car, taking the helmet off. He's okay, but the 6 car looks to be almost a complete write-off. All the bodywork gone off that race car. Full course caution for a huge wreck in the S's involving the prototype 6 car, the Miracle Motorsports Riley and Scott Ford. Brent Sherman driving, and the 15. Ford All Motorsports Porsche of Kim Hiskey. We'll show it to you again. This is a distance shot. There you see the 6 and the 15 tangling at the bottom of the hill. We think the 6 may have flipped. Well, and here it is again, a slow motion version with the spot shadow. You can see the 6 car crossing right in front of Kim Hiskey's Ford All Porsche, both into the outside Armco. Bodywork peeling off the 6s. I believe he went over, and there's the aftermath. Sherman climbing out of the prototype, but Kim Hiskey took her a while. The rescue crews had to come to her aid inside the Ford All Motorsports Porsche and take her out of the car very gingerly on a backboard. But you can see, if you look closely here, you can see her moving her hands. And we understand, John Bizignano, that Kim Hiskey may well be in very good shape considering the severity of that impact.
Well, that's the initial report. Kim arrived here after being taken out of the car. They were very careful getting her out of the vehicle. Now, when the ambulance arrived here, she stayed in the ambulance. Several doctors went out to the ambulance. They had a conference on her condition. She was awake. She was alert. She has complaining of some neck pain, which I guess is about all you could hope for in an accident like that. She stayed in the ambulance, and they drove her to the hospital, which is 4 miles away. No helicopter, no huge rush here. So I think the initial report was that she certainly has one heck of a sore neck, but no life-threatening condition whatsoever. It's a good first report.
Good indeed. Thank you, John Bizignano, on pit road for us and at the infield care center. And there you see what remains of the Ford All Motorsports Porsche. You can see in that replay, David, the 6 just went across the nose of that car, took Hiskey's Porsche right into the outside.
It absolutely did, and her Porsche there looked like it stood up there pretty well. You didn't see any serious compromise to the structure of the bodywork there, so hopefully it did not cave in on her legs. Her legs probably all right, but of course, still and all, a very, very sudden stop, and however good the belts and everything else, when you stop that quickly, it's as well to be very careful.
Now both cars pounded the outside Armco in the S. It's going to take a few minutes to straighten out the guardrail here at Watkins Glen. So we'll take a pause in the action, come right back for more.